Would you like to back up your photos to an external hard drive, but you're not quite sure how to do it? Or maybe you're worried that you're going to delete something by mistake. In this video, I'll show you how to safely copy your full resolution photos and videos from iCloud to an external hard drive using your Mac. We won't delete anything from iCloud, and you will end up with a complete copy of your full resolution iCloud photos on a hard drive that's under your control. My name is Cheryl DeFrank, and I'm a certified photo manager, helping families and businesses organize and preserve their photo collections. I always encourage my clients to have more than one copy or backup of their photos, which is exactly what we'll accomplish here today. Today I'll be demonstrating on a Mac, but the process of downloading photos from iCloud using a PC or a Windows computer is quite different. So if you have an iPhone or iPad and you back up to iCloud, but you use a PC or a Windows computer, let us know if you'd like a Windows version of this video by putting PC in the comments below. Let's begin with a quick explanation of how the Apple environment works. All of your Apple devices, including your iPhone, iPad, and Mac, use iCloud to keep your photo library synchronized. What that means is that when you add or delete a photo on one device, that change is reflected in iCloud on all your other synced Apple devices. So when you delete a photo from your iPhone, that means that photo is deleted from all your Apple Sync devices and iCloud. And that's why it's so important to keep a separate backup on an external hard drive to protect those photos that you don't want to lose by mistake. It's also important to understand that what we're doing today is not moving the photos out of iCloud. We're simply making a copy of everything on the external hard drive. Everything we're downloading today will still remain in iCloud. So the first thing we'll do is take a look at your external hard drive. We want to make sure that it's mounted properly and that you have enough space. So go ahead and click on the Finder icon in your dock to make sure. We want to make sure that your drive has mounted properly. You may see it on your desktop here, but you can also confirm that by looking under Locations on the left-hand side of the window. You can see that the drive I will be using is called Photos Backup, and it has mounted properly. So I'm good to go there. We want to make sure we have plenty of space on the drive. So to do that, again, with the hard drive highlighted under Locations, you want to go up to File, Get Info, or Command-I, and that will bring up the info window for the drive. And that tells you the format, how much space, how large the drive is itself, how much space you have available. I would highly recommend for this download that you have at least a few hundred gigabytes available. But of course, it completely depends on how many photos and videos you'll be downloading. Also keep in mind that videos take up a lot more space than photos. So if you know that you have a lot of videos in your library, and especially a lot of long videos, that you may want to have even more available space on your drive. You certainly want to avoid the download stopping in the middle because it's run out of space on the hard drive. So to be safe, have as much space as possible available on your drive. I certainly would go ahead and back up your drive before doing the download. If you've got existing data on the drive, we're going to be downloading a lot of files. We don't anticipate any problems, but it's always good to just have a backup in case anything were to happen. So finally, we'll close this window and we want to create our destination folder where we're going to be sending all of the downloaded files onto our hard drive. So with the hard drive highlighted, go up to File, New Folder. That will create your new folder, and name it something obviously descriptive so you can keep track of what's in the folder and when you download it. I'm going to name mine iCloud Download with the year and the month. I like to use a 4-digit year with a 2-digit month and a 2-digit date. That's just a really good way to ensure that for subsequent folders, when you do additional downloads in the future, you keep the naming consistent. They'll sort themselves chronologically. So next, let's look at your Photos library on your Mac and make sure it's fully synced with iCloud. We'll be using the Photos library on your Mac as the conduit to download everything from iCloud. So to open your library, click on the Photos icon in your dock and go up to the Photos pull-down menu, the Photos menu up here at the top, and go to Settings. And under the iCloud tab here, obviously you want to make sure that you're using iCloud. If you're not using iCloud, that means that this library is not syncing with iCloud, and this process won't work. So you want to make sure that you are connected to iCloud with your library and that it is syncing. Now, it doesn't really matter which one of these you have checked, whether you're downloading originals to the Mac or you're optimizing Mac storage. Optimizing means that you're keeping a high-res copy in iCloud and a low-res copy on your computer, but be sure that when we do this process, we're going to have it export out of your Photos library, but iCloud is going to know to bring down the high-res file that it's going to save to your hard drive. So as long as those things are all checked, then go back to your library and just scroll down to the very bottom and make sure that it says something like synced with iCloud just now. And that it's not in the process of still syncing or downloading files. So now we know that everything should match between iCloud and your Mac, your library. Okay, so we're ready to start the download. I'm going to demonstrate the process with a small number of photos, but it would work the same way if you wanted to download your entire library. I would also suggest that you try it first with a sample of your own library just to see how it works. So I've created an album over here of just, again, a small number, about 110 photos that I'm just going to use for the demonstration. And the first thing we want to do is whatever photos you do want to export, whether it's your entire library or whatever sample subset you want to start with, go ahead and select them all, either by selecting a certain number or go and select all. In the case with this album, I'm going to select them all. And then you want to go up to File, Export, in this case, 110 items. And you're going to get this export window with these options. Most likely, you're going to want to select the JPEG so that all of the photos come down as JPEGs. That is the most common format for the photos. And movie quality, again, 1080p is the best quality that you'll be able to export. So that's probably what you want. I would certainly recommend that you check both of these boxes, especially if you've added any metadata, title, captions, keywords to your photos, and location information. And then using the file name as opposed to some of these other things, using the file name is a good default. It's the name that the files have in your library. And subfolder, I won't go into the different options here, but most likely the easiest and most default option is to not use a subfolder format. Then you want to go ahead and click Export and navigate to that folder we created on your backup hard drive that you for this download. Go ahead and select it and go ahead and click Export. And up here, this little pie circle is going to show you your progress. And when that pie is complete, your export is finished. Now that your test download is complete, let's take a look at the exported or downloaded files on the hard drive. So you want to go to open your hard drive and go to that folder that we created for the download. And you can see here are all those files that I exported or downloaded. And the real quick look at the numbers, I've got 110 files in this folder and I exported 110 files from that test album. So those numbers match, so that's good. That makes me feel good that I've got everything. And you just want to kind of go through, and I would recommend maybe just opening several of the photos themselves, just to check and make sure that they open properly. Open a couple of the movies, make sure that they appear to work properly. So just to make sure that there was kind of no hiccups in your download. One thing to recognize is that you can see in the folder, in the Finder, all of the files are sorted alphanumerically. You know, you may have some folders with kind of these long, random file names for different reasons. And then, of course, the majority of them will probably be IMG _ a number. Now, that's how the Finder in Apple works. It just sorts these photos alphanumerically. It does not necessarily have any relation to the chronological order of these photos. So keep in mind, if you're going to download your entire library of 2,000, 5,000, 10,000, or however many photos, they're all going to end up in this export folder in alphanumeric order, which again has no relation to the chronological order. This is a very good reason for considering downloading photos per year. So going back to your library and just downloading 1 year of photos at a time into its own specific folder. So I know if I downloaded all the photos from 2024 into a folder that's labeled 2024, I know everything from that folder is at least from that year. And then I do a separate download for 2025 and 2023 and so on going backwards. That's just an easy way to at least kind of keep the in your folders on your hard drive, keep all the pictures from a certain time period together. So, of course, I would certainly recommend, again, going back to that file naming convention, that if you do that, you're going to have multiple folders of downloads. You want to keep the naming convention very consistent so that you can easily see where the pictures from that folder came from. If this step-by-step demonstration is helpful, give the video a like so more people can find it. And subscribe to our channel if you'd like to get more DIY tips on how to organize and preserve your photo collection. So now that you've checked your sample download and see that everything works and what it will look like, you're ready to download the entire library, either all at once or in subsets by year. Exporting an entire library all at once could take a while, depending on how many photos and videos you have and your internet connection speed. This is another advantage to downloading 1 year at a time or some other subset of the library to avoid any interruptions in a very long download. To increase the efficiency of your download and to help avoid any unnecessary interruptions, make sure your Mac stays connected to the internet, stays connected to the external hard drive, stays plugged into power, stays awake, with your photos library left open. So sometimes it's a good idea to maybe start this process at night and just leave the whole thing running overnight. Again, depending on how many photos and videos you'll be downloading. If you have the ability to connect your Mac directly to your router through a wired connection or Ethernet port, this could also help the download go faster and reduce the chances of internet or Wi-Fi disruptions, which could disrupt the entire download before it's finished. Once you've downloaded the entire collection, it's a good idea to verify the downloaded copy by doing a few things. Open several of the photos from different years or batches that you downloaded. Play some of the videos. Make sure that they play and they open properly. Confirm that each destination folder contains files and also contains the number of files that you had intended to download from that particular folder or batch. Be aware of how much space the downloaded files have taken up on your hard drive and how much space is still available. Because, of course, you're going to have subsequent downloads as you add more photos to iCloud, and you're going to want to back those up down the road. So you want to make sure there's plenty of space on your hard drive to add those photos. Now that you've downloaded your entire iCloud Photos library to an external hard drive, you have a copy of all your photos independent of iCloud or the internet. The photos on the hard drive can be accessed directly from the hard drive without an internet connection. Just be sure to also back up this hard drive, just to be safe. Be aware that you have not removed anything from iCloud, so this process does not free up any additional storage space in your iCloud. The photos on the external hard drive are no longer connected to iCloud and will not automatically sync with iCloud or your iPhone. This also means that any changes or deletions you make in your photos library on your phone or on your Mac will not be reflected in the downloaded collection on the hard drive. The same way that any changes you make on the hard drive will not be reflected on iCloud or on your iPhone. Also keep in mind that you've created a second copy of all your photos up to the date you did the download or the copy. Any additional photos you take or add to your Mac will not automatically be copied to the hard drive until you do a new download of the photos that you've taken since the last download. If your goal is to stop paying for iCloud storage by removing some or all of your photos from iCloud, that requires a few additional steps. Don't just start deleting photos from iCloud until you've confirmed that all the photos you downloaded here have downloaded successfully and you've made a second backup of your external hard drive. Also understand that if you choose to stop using iCloud altogether, you will have to manually back up your iPhone photos by copying them directly from the phone to the external hard drive. And that's a very different process than what we did here today. Your iPhone will no longer automatically synchronize with your Mac because it can't talk through iCloud. The process we've used here will not work to make a copy of the photos on your external hard drive. For step-by-step help organizing and protecting your photo collection, subscribe to the Photo Managers. You now have a separate copy of your photos without deleting anything from iCloud. Remember, check your files, keep more than one backup, and don't delete anything until you're certain your photos are safely preserved. Thanks for watching.